Okay, it was the end of my work week. I had completed my regular work and my projects that were assigned to me. I reviewed my calendar for the upcoming week to see what I had to do for the next week. Then I realized I have a senior management project presentation to ask for additional resources from my senior management team to complete the taxpayer's refund request for a pending court case in our audit division. Then I got a phone call from our project sponsors, and they asked me, oh, we have an opening at our upcoming senior management meeting. Do you mind doing your presentation? Well, sure, I have no problem with it. Are you prepared? Absolutely. I immediately hung up the phone, and then I started presenting to preparation for my project presentation for my senior management and additional resources for my presentation. For my presentation, I first started with the background of my presentation. I looked for resources to support my request for the additional resources. I did an analysis of the background of my resources and the outcome of my presentation. For the background, I started to look at the purpose of the presentation to see why was it needed. I want to provide the end users or the senior management team the legal and audit background of the issue, the summary of the audit findings of the audit case that was going before the court records, the taxpayer's response to the audit findings, and the taxpayer decided at that point to exercise their administrative rights to the court hearing. Now, pending outcome of the court hearing, taxpayers in this same line of business decided that they may be eligible for a claim for refund, so they filed a claim, an amended return, which will allow them to get a claim for refund. But these refunds were held until the outcome of the court case, which is the project that I was working on. The resources that I looked to for guidance was my senior management team. I asked them if the budgeted refund claim amounts that taxpayers had submitted to us for refunds were they included with our projected budget totals. And I also asked for if there are any administrative rights or court rights that they will be allowed to the taxpayers with after determination of the court case. And I also talked to my project sponsors to make sure I was covering everything that they wanted me to cover. When I spoke to my senior management team, when I was asking about the budget numbers, that's when we found out that the budgeted numbers for our section had only been projected. The complete amount of what was actually received was well above what was estimated. So this was money that was going to be outflowing, and the outflow was very small in compared to what we actually had came up with. When I told them what the tentative hearing outcome of the court case was, my senior management team was quite excited because it was going to be an inflow to our department. Therefore, it was going to increase our budgeted numbers. And I asked them I told them about my presentation and what I plan on doing at the senior management meeting. They were very pleased because when they heard the amount, they were like, what do you need for us to do? I said, well, I would like for your support when I present it to your other colleagues that I would like support for to process the work. And I got their tentative support. And when I provided background what was done and what I was currently working on, and they gave them the links to what the actual was on the website for everyone to see what's in the senior management team, and they were very glad to look at that. When I also spoke with another one of my senior management team, we have a division called the protest section. When a taxpayer files a claim for refund, if they don't agree with our determination, they have an opportunity to file their administrative rights for a claim for refund and say they don't disagree, and where do I process my administrative rights. So knowing that this was going to be the end part of our determination when we decided to process these claims for refunds, that's when I went to that section manager and I said, okay, this is the court case that's going on. What is your role and how can I help you to make sure I get this process smoothly? They provided me their overview of their department, what happens once we finish processing our section. And then she also asked me to say, well, where are you at with the project? I again provided the background of the project, what I had done, and what I was continuing to do. And she was very excited and kind of a little scared because when I gave her the quantity of the actual items that were coming due, that's when she decided, okay, this is going to be a lot of work. Thank you for the heads up, but you do have my support. I then spoke with my project sponsor and provided her with the overview that I spoke with the senior management team as far as the budgeted numbers, and also the other senior management as far as the administrative rights of the taxpayers, and was there any other areas that she wanted me to discuss. And they were very receptive to the fact that I took these steps. With the analysis that I completed with the senior project manager team and the background of the actual, a background of the case, I came up with the pros and cons, because I wanted to make sure I was giving the pros and cons to the senior management team, but this was pulling resources away from other areas. One of the things that I found was kind of odd that they did not have the preparation with the budgeted numbers in there for the actual amount of money that was going to be outflowing. And considering now it's going to be coming back in, it was going to boost our budgeted outline numbers, and they were very happy with that. And some of the cons that I came up with is that the training and commitment time that was going to be required from the other auditors. I told them I was going to be responsible for the orientation of the team and let them know how much it was going to cost to process, how much time was required to complete the work, and the level of audit expertise. Now, when I gave my project sponsors the summary, they were very pleased with it, and as a result, they were happy that I took those steps. Only to be informed at the end of our meeting with my project sponsors that the meeting that I was going to have that afternoon was canceled. It was canceled, and due to some other outstanding legislation that just came through that morning. But they were very happy because it's going to be due next month. And what questions do you all have for me?
Guests and easy speakers. Marguerite, this was your second module of speeches, and the module was organize your speech. And I must say, you really did. You had an opening, you had a detailed body, and you had an ending. Very informative, very interesting story. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. You seem to hang on to the podium a bit. And even though this is your second speech, you need to start trying the next speech not to do that. And also, you did have a lot of detail in your speech, and you had a lot of notes that you were reading from. So on your third speech, try to limit your notes to a minimum, because that way we get to see more of your beautiful eyes, because you'll be looking at the audience when you do that. And you might want to consider also next time a little bit more vocal variety. It was pretty monotone, but I know that you were focusing on the detail to try to share with us what you went through for your project. And you were focusing on that more than giving us vocal variety. But vocal variety is always interesting. You can have highs, you can have lows, you can be soft, you can be loud, and it brings us that much closer into your presentation. So consider that for next time. But I'm glad that you mentioned during your speech that you asked for help during your project, because the way you were talking, it was very detailed and very time-consuming. So when your manager approached you, asking what they can do, you spoke out right away. Give me some folks that can help me out. So that was very good, and I'm glad you mentioned that. So for your next speech, which I'm sure will be coming pretty soon, remember, use the podium, the lectern very little, less notes, vocal variety, and keep us informed with what you're doing at your job, because it's very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marguerite.
Thank you.